everybody, to another great episode of Real Life Matters. Of course, I am your host, DBoss, and I hope everybody is doing their due diligence with their 15 minutes of laughing and, making their spirit feel good. It helps reduce the blood pressure. It helps you start your day. It helps you warm up your vocal cords. It helps you do all the wonderful things. There's so many health benefits when you're laughing. And a lot of people say, well, maybe they don't have anybody to laugh with. Well, you could always call somebody. You could put something funny on TV or YouTube. And if you say, okay, well, DBoss, I really don't have anybody at all to do that with. So then you could always just sign up for laughing classes, which I hope nobody has to do. So please do your laughing at least 15 to 20 minutes. If you could do more kudos to you and all that. But anyways, if you guys want to catch me on CaribVision, you can watch me primetime weeknights from Monday to Friday from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in 28 different countries, including London, UK, and also through the various cable networks. And if you want to see us in Canada, we're here at BellFibe on channel 658. So, and if you missed all that there, then you could go to my YouTube channel, which is DBoss Networks, and you can subscribe, share, like, and watch all the wonderful guests that I've done. But before I come back with our Christmassy, novelty guest, we're going to hear something from our sponsors, Vital Steps to Vital Health.
Welcome to your Vital Steps to Better Health and Fitness. I'm Joanne James. Today we're talking about preventing falls and injuries in older adults. Preventing falls is crucial for maintaining health, independence, and well-being in the older adult. And how can we do this? We do this by making sure that they get regular exercise that includes strength training, balance, and flexibility as some of the components of fitness. Also, safe-proof their homes. Make sure that you reduce their tripping hazards, say loose cords, rugs, and the stair lighting, things like that. You want to make sure that everything is well lit for them. And also medication. Review the medication with the doctors on a regular basis. Some medications cause dizziness and drowsiness, which increases the risk for falls. It's always important to note that we can't eliminate falls, but we can certainly reduce the risks of falls. I'm Joanne James, and this has been your Vital Steps to Better Health and Fitness. See you next time.
Well, thank you, Joanne James, for that tip. And that's a real good tip, especially around the holidays. You're going to have these extra cords and, Christmas lights and people coming in. And then with all their phones and devices they have to connect up, everybody just has to be real careful so they don't trip and fall. So everybody just be mindful of that. And also when you have mature people around, you got to be checked to make sure you got the cords. So she's been correct about that. All right. I got another guest here for you, and she is an author, and she's we're going to find out about this juicy topic. She releases The Work Boyfriend and a Christmas Rom-Com novel. So we're going to find out about this juicy novel. We're going to ask her all these different questions. So with no further ado, I introduce to you author Rebecca. Well, we have here Deanna McFadden, but it's Rebecca Mardon is her name. Thank you. You got all these different names. You're like, okay, which one do you use?
Depending is a good one. Rebecca Mardon is what's on the book.
Rebecca Mardon. Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. And here at Real Life Matters, we'd like to know where everybody's cultural background and where they come from.
Oh,
yes.
That's a good question. I live in Toronto. I was born in Toronto. And culturally, I guess my mother was British. My dad is Irish. His parents were Swedish. Some Scottish. A lot of, it's a mix. Yeah.
So I'm making you think now. Okay. All right. So, Rebecca, you have done so many books, and novels and stuff like that. So what made you want to become a writer? And you get some juicy topics there.
I think I don't really think that I ever became a writer. I think I just am a writer. So
Okay.
it's a little bit more of, it's something that I've always done ever since I was small. And I would say that mainly what I am is a reader. Like, I really love reading and I really love books. And I think that there's just a natural inclination. Then you got all these characters rolling around in your brain and they just need to come out. And that's where the writing comes from.
All right. So tell us about this novel that you wrote here.
The Work Boyfriend?
The one, yes, the current one.
Okay. So The Work Boyfriend is a contemporary rom-com about, a young woman who's in her mid-20s, and, she's just trying to figure out her life. The protagonist's name is Kelly, and she's in a long-term relationship. She's got a good job, but she's not 100% sure if either of those things are right for her. And she has this interesting relationship with her work boyfriend, who is her sort of best friend and crush mixed all into one, of somebody that she works with. And it's that relationship, that catalyst of whether she has real feelings for him or not, that kind of blows up. It's the tension in the novel.
Okay, so your thought, I guess, before you put this together, you're saying a number like 57% of people cheat with somebody at work.
Yes. I think part of that, I think statistics are fantastic and interesting, and I'm interested in tension, and I'm interested in human relationships. And
Okay.
while I think there are different forms of cheating, and in the sense that they're not having an affair, the two characters, like in my book, they're not necessarily having an affair, but what is the emotional situation, and what is she keeping from her boyfriend, and how does that make her feel? And so there's a bit of a love triangle going on between Kelly, the main character, her real-time boyfriend, whose name is Rob, and then Garrett, who is the work boyfriend. And I think that the proximity of work, especially at that stage of your life, like, I'm a lot older than she is now. She's a lot younger than I am. And I think that there's that time in your life where you're just starting to become an adult. You have your first real job. It's, you work a lot, especially if you have drive and ambition, and you spend a lot of time with people at work in different ways than you spend with your spouse. And feelings naturally develop. And are they feelings because you feel them, or are they feelings because you're missing something in your life? And that was the question that I was really struggling with. And that's what I wanted to portray in the novel.
Right. So in general, you say that most of the time when people have an affair, or even if it's mentally, it's around the Christmas time or the Christmas party, and why would
Yeah, like the novel opens the day after their Christmas party, where she and her work boyfriend got up to a little bit of hijinks, and she's feeling guilty about some of the things that happened. And I feel like that is such a real life situation, obviously pre-COVID, when companies were still in offices, because a lot of that has changed, like, we're not all in offices so much anymore. And I think that there was that time when companies were doing really well. They would throw these huge lavish parties and everybody's making out with everybody else, and who knows because there's a lot of inhibitions are dropped at that moment in time. And again, as a novelist, I'm really interested in tension and humans making mistakes and what that looks like, and how that leads to complicated stories that ultimately bring you around to figuring out who you are as a person. So that's why I like conflict. So it's fun to put some juicy stuff in the novel.
Right. Well, a lot of people I know, like, when you have company parties, sometimes it's okay when they have the company parties with just the people.
Correct.
In the company.
Yeah, there's no spouses allowed.
But when you have the company party and you invite the spouses to it, then the people that are working in the company tend to always act different.
Yeah, I think the dynamics change. Obviously, yes, 100%. Because you have such work relationships are so interesting and so ripe for just examination, in many different kinds of things. And I think especially for young women who are, wanting to be professionals, that have drive, that want to succeed in their careers, there's an interesting line to draw there between what is professional and what is personal. And she definitely gets those mixed up, my character. Yeah.
They might say you're a nice person. I really like your drive, and then you're taking it. Woo!
That's right.
No, but around those ages and stuff like that, when you're working, you're trying to make you if you're just coming out of university or you're going to school, university while working, you're building your character, because you don't really know yourself in your 20s, early 20s. Yes, you know who you are, but you're not really developed.
Yeah. And I think that, that time of young adulthood is so important. Like when you're going to university or whatever you do post high school, anything that builds that life experience is really interesting. And then you start to understand what adulthood is, and it's not what you expected. And it's, a lot harder and a lot more boring if you're just starting out in your office job. And I think for my character, Kelly, it's coming to the realization of, I don't want this life. Like, is this the life that I want? And instead of being mature and saying, finding the steps to go, she blows her life up. So that's one way to do it. I don't recommend. I don't recommend blowing your life up like my character does. But I think that it's a very realistic thing that happens, especially for women, because there's so many different pressures on us at that time. There's societal pressures to get married. There's societal pressures to start a family. And then you have, like if you're like it was with my mom when I was younger, my mom was a first wave feminist. You can do anything you want. But then you get into the world and you realize, no, you really can't. Like, that's not how the world works. And I think that, like I said, I really wanted to create a character who is good. She is a very good person, but it's messy. And so the mess is what I think is fun to write.
But but a lot of things start also, like, when people go to dinner from work.
Yes.
And you go to lunch.
Yes.
And, and sometimes, I remember when I was in the office, I used to hate if I had to go out to dinner or lunch with your bosses and people, because you'd be like, these are not my friends. These are.
Oh, I think, that's the difference between you and I, because, like there is this book has some autobiographical elements in the sense that it's based a little bit on a time in my life where I did work in a similar company. Obviously, the character is not me, like it's all me. But I think that we had such a core group of friends where we had lunch together, we went out together, we did that was the core social group, and that was the kind of thing where it was blurring between professional and personal, because like it was all that sort of way. And there were people in this group of friends of mine at that time where they met their spouses at the place where we were working, and some of them are still together to this day. So it was a really transformative time for them.
And then you'd go, and then a lot of people would go together at these after work parties. And then, that opens the door for all these things to happen.
Correct. Yes.
And then you got to go back to work, and you're like, oh.
100%.
Like some people don't even know, well, how did I get here today? What happened? And
I know. What am I going to do?
What are you going to do? What are you going to be? But, it's interesting, because at that time you don't know, what to do. When you're sitting with your bosses and you're with the executives and stuff, you don't know what to say. You don't know, well, geez, I'm going to have a big crumb on my mouth, or, because you're still building, right? And then if the boss is trying to like you or something, then it's then you're kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need to go down that wormhole because that's even more complicated. That doesn't necessarily happen in my book, but
Maybe the next one.
yeah, that might be the next one. I do love I'm a very inquisitive person, so even if I'm in situations like that, I'll ask a lot of questions.
Right.
And so like anywhere I am just going to be asking you a lot of questions. And it was around the time when I was writing this book, we were having dinner with the CEOs of two very big publishing companies. And I was just like, have you guys ever had a work boyfriend or a work girlfriend? And so they started telling me about their work girlfriends. And
Oh my
of course, they were
God.
like executive publisher of the biggest publishing house. And I was like, oh yeah, like our work boyfriends were like the guy in IT. It's like very different.
But people still don't really talk about it like that openly. You know what I mean?
And they found that conversation quite entertaining. So we had a long talk about it, and it was really very funny. And so I think it's a good icebreaker because, you spend so much time with people at work. It's inevitable.
It's true.
It's inevitable that complicated feelings will arise. And that's sort of what I've been exploring in the novel.
You could be working with them for 12, 14 hours a day. And then now we know they got all the technology. They can call you all the time and text everything. So you're like, well, what do you do? And then your other half is asking you, well, who's that? What time is work? Is work still going on?
Yes.
At 11, 12 o'clock. Oh, well, that person's in Japan or. There's so much because the time zones and the time differences, so it gets kind of complex if you really get it.
Yes.
All right. So where can you have a copy of the book to show everybody or?
Oh, I do, but I'd have to get up from my chair.
Oh, well, I can run a little commercial if it takes you. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3, we can go.
Okay. Welcome to Your Vital Steps to Better Health and Fitness. I'm Joanne James. Today we're going to talk about the effects of no exercise on the muscles. Many people are spending a lot of time sitting at their desk and not exercising, as well as the internet has taken people out of the exercise realm and into sitting down and playing games on their phones. There's a major detriment to not exercising. When you don't exercise, your muscles become weak and that impacts your bones. So now you have both weak muscles and weak bones. The other problem is you lose strength and the daily activities that you like to do become more difficult. So it's important to be doing some form of exercise to keep the muscles toned. And thirdly, your body composition will change. You will end up getting more body fat and less muscle mass, which then tends to be unattractive and you lose energy and you become more fatigued. So do yourself a favor. Get into a great exercise routine. Find somebody who can put you on a great program. Your body's going to love it. I'm Joanne James, and this has been your Vital Steps to Better Health and Fitness. Take care.
Well, we're back here with author Rebecca Mardon, and she's showing us her book. I like the color yellow. It's nice.
Me too. It's very sunshiny and happy.
And you can put it in your bag or your travel bag too.
Yes, it's a paperback, so it's easy to cart around. It's very good for beach reading. It's a great escapism for coming up for the holidays. So please, everybody, go and buy it.
All right. So where can they get the book at?
At Amazon.
Oh, okay. Amazon. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you better hurry up and order it. So
yes.
You know how that Christmas rush is.
Correct.
You might get it the day after or maybe, a week after. So, all right. So Rebecca, so what are you going to be working on next?
Right now I'm working on another contemporary romance novel. This month is called NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. So a lot of people participate in trying to write a novel in a month. I did not write a novel in a month. So I'm working on a romance between a hockey player and a kindergarten teacher. It's another holiday romance.
And you picked the character, a kindergarten teacher.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, she's the exact opposite of me. So it's been fun to write.
All right. All right. So are there any shout outs that you want to give to anybody?
I would really love to thank the publisher, Rebecca Mardon and Rebooks, because they did such a wonderful job. And I think the book looks amazing. And Jay Flores Holtz, who did the cover.
Wow. All right. So if people want to follow you on social media, where can you just give us them so they can follow you? Or?
It's at Tragic Right Hip.
Oh, okay. That's a bit different. You know. Okay, people, follow her at Tragic Right Hip. All right. I like that. That makes you stand out.
It does.
Well, I do want to thank you, Rebecca, for coming here, sharing the story, sharing why you wrote it, and I know that you're gonna have a lot of people out there thinking. So, and I'm thinking too, because I'm thinking back in the.
Good. Well, I hope your viewers like the book, and I'd love to hear from them if they do.
Yes, guys, make your comments, please.
Yeah.
She wants to hear when you read the book. People read the book and they don't put the comments. People want the comments. You want to hear something.
Yes, we want the comments.
Yes. All right. So I want to thank everybody for watching Real Life Matters here with Arthur, Rebecca Mardon, and you guys get the book. Go out there and make the comments after you read it so she can see what she has to do. All right. So anyway, good night and bye for now.